Oh, now we're live. Okay.
Woo!
Woo! Awesome possum. Everybody, it is the tail end of March. And as you see tonight, we have Sam and I kind of holding it down here. Mark is not able to join us, and Tom is saving the world this evening. So it is up to Sam and I to talk about all the important things. But before we do that, we have to honor that tradition of minute to win it. So, what can we do for a minute? Because,
I got this.
okay.
So for the minute to win it, I did remember that we were supposed to pick a character that I may ask you to put on screen if you may.
Yeah, what do you got?
Um, uh, and I kind of wanted to pick something that wasn't like this ancient character from 1938, just so we could do
What
so we
was
could
the one last time? The red bee or
the
something,
red bee.
bro?
Uh, and to, and so the one I chose was the firstborn. Do you remember the firstborn, Johnny?
Oh,
So the firstborn was a character in the 2012 like Brian Azzarello Wonder Woman run,
yeah.
and that was the firstborn of Zeus that he had imprisoned to because he thought he was going to usurp him and become the ruler.
Yeah.
And he's an antagonist slash protagonist that like helps but also does not help Wonder Woman multiple times. He's kind of like Conan the Barbarian almost.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you can look him up here. Otherwise, you don't have to. But he was
One
the
more.
character I was thinking of because
One more
how
time.
many people even remember the firstborn from the Wonder Woman run from 12 years ago?
From Prime Earth.
Yeah, like literally like New 52.
All right. Let me see what I got. Because this is pulling up all sorts of random stuff.
While he's doing that, I will address my phone other than me sitting at a thing. Uh,
Wonder Woman's strongest foe.
that's right. Like
Wow.
basically, I was having computer issues, so that's why I am by phone right now. Yep,
Understand
that's the guy right there.
twice.
Yep, that's him. He's just basically Conan. Like,
Well
there's a
done.
really good scene in that run though, where um the firstborn literally he's finally free, and they go, it's like, so what you gonna do now? And he goes,
Hmm.
well, I have to look up in what rises in the morning to see who took over for Zeus.
Yeah.
And the sun rises up, and he goes, ah, Apollo, you'll be next.
Yeah.
And he goes like, oh shit, he's gonna kill Apollo. Damn.
Well, awesome. Good find, man. Very
Yeah.
nicely done on that.
It
Very
honestly like it made me allowed me to use those weird Marvel and DC's encyclopedias that I have of
gotcha.
literally just bunches of characters, and I'm happy I finally get to use it
Heck
again.
yeah. Nicely done.
So
Okay.
that's where I'll be driving most of this from.
Shout out to the firstborn. Can't forget.
That's right.
Uh, Catching up in the comments before we even open the show. Holy smoke. Straight from YouTube. Sunny D is in the building. Best StarCraft 2 streamer in the galaxy. Sunny D, we still need to round up for virtual coffee to talk about life. So we need to do that at some point. We've actually never spoken one on one, but we talk through Discord and then we tune into each other's streams. So it's a lot of fun.
Love
And
that.
then Facebook user, this is actually Bill from Comic Book Bears podcast, a longtime friend of the show. They have
Woo!
an amazing channel as well, and we have had some glorious adventures to conventions on the east side of the country. Shout out to you, Mr. Bill. Thank you. Yes, yes, Sunny D, let's make it happen. 2024, it's our year. I swear, we got to do it. We got to do it soon. But without further ado, I suppose we should open the show.
Absolutely.
I think I'm up to bat because you guys have been kind of taking over all the things here.
You got to
So
roll the intro at least.
oh my heavens. I cannot believe that I forgot this was a thing. Should I roll the intro or should we bring on Tom, who just joined us
There he
randomly?
is.
Bum, bum, bum.
Better late than never, folks. Better
Oh,
late than never.
good to see you. All right.
What's up,
Well, we
boys?
haven't even opened the show yet. We were just
Good.
yakking. Sam brought up a really cool character, the firstborn character, Nemesis of Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Yep,
Yeah.
he was in the 2012 run by Brian Azzarello. That's the deep cut character I was going for there. He was like, I think he debuted in 2012 ish.
Yeah. We got I Sam again. Bravo. I don't know. Shout out to the Red Bee though. That's where it's up.
I think
you're
the Red
rude.
Bee was the Red
No,
Bee is the best one though.
Heck yeah. Well, let's roll the intro, and then we're gonna open the show. We're gonna have some fun. All right, here we go.
A Comic Book Club, your weekly TV show on comic book culture.
I love that intro, Tom.
It's so good.
Oh, great! It's so great. It's so great. Ah, I never get sick of that. We might have to do that again at the end of the episode, just because I love it. I love it. All right. Well, without further ado, I suppose we should open the show. So, it's my turn, Tom. I said it was because everyone else has been kind of taking it on, and I'm like, maybe I'll make our own bootleg version because I haven't done it in so long.
I love it.
We'll see. Without further ado, the best drum roll a guy can do on his poor glass desk that will break one of these times. That was really lame. Hey, everybody, it's a comic book look. It's your boy, John on Demand, a.k.a. stealing Mark's look tonight, evidently, with the hat and glasses, unintentionally. Big and boring's never boring. But I am joined by co-CEO and co-founder extraordinaire, Tom Devine. There can only be one Midwest Highlander. We are both in the Long Hair Don't Care Club, but not in the Long Hair Club anymore. Sam, the newest hot rod on a comic book look lot, has sheared his hair. So,
Yeah,
I couldn't compete. I had to let the true kings roll.
Okay, all right. But we are a comic book look, proudly sponsored by Rainbow Comics. If you're in the Sioux Falls area, swing on down to the shop at 42nd in Minnesota, Wednesday through Saturday in particular. Say howdy to Sam and his fresh cuts. Otherwise, if you're in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, Taylor and the team down there will help you out with your comic book needs. Great humans, great books all around. So, bada bing, bada boom. Boys, how are we today? It's the end of March. Holy smokes.
Time flies. You know what I'm saying, boys? No, but I am doing good, John. It's excited to be here talking comics with the boys. Got to see Sam really quick earlier today. But yeah, it's good.
I didn't even get to say, hey, what's up to you? That was a busy time, right? You always catch me on like when I got like 4 people I got to deal with.
It's okay. That's good. I love to see Rainbow stay busy. So nothing wrong with that.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, heck yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot to talk about in our topic tonight. Sam had a really great topic. I'm going to let him present it here in a second. I know we're not talking about the prominent Disney Plus offering that's going on right now that makes me feel young, and it starts with X and ends with 97. But definitely want to talk about that at some point once we've all had a chance to tune in for it. All I will say is that I certainly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to wait for Mark. I mean, simple as that. We could definitely talk about it this week, but we just have to talk. Mark cannot not be here for this. We can't trade in Mark for young Sam. I mean, give me.
It's not. It wouldn't be the same for you guys because I'd be like, yeah, that's great, guys. You're doing your thing.
Yeah, no, I wasn't born.
I was literally born in 97, so
But definitely excited for the main discussion tonight. Before we do that, though, is there anything anyone wants to lift up? There's a lot happening on the screens and the books in the industry.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I mean, for the baseball baddies like me out there, opening day's tomorrow. I'm really excited. So if you like baseball like me, I'm like, tomorrow's the day. Let's get hyped.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of summer, also just baseball, summer's coming. So, I mean, I love to hear that opening day is coming, even though I don't pay attention to baseball until the playoffs. So 9 months from now. But I do enjoy knowing that the opening day's here and that summer's right around the corner.
Hell yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah, but other than that, John, I don't have much either. Of course, picked up comics today. You had a lot of fun always going through the comics, and been reading some other good stuff, and so a lot of good things on the horizon. A lot of good books out right now. Exciting time to be in comics, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely in, and I think that there is this big lull of these huge creators not having a main series right like now. You know, it's like, what is Robert Kirkman, or what is what is Brian K. Vaughan, or what is Tom King? You know, they're all possibly, Tom King is working obviously, but all of them aren't really in the middle of some epic tale. Even like Jeff Lemire right now, right? Black Hammer's coming to a close, and it's really kind of an exciting time to let other creators start to get some juice. And I think that Distillery label's doing a good job, and I think that there's a bunch of cool things. Image is always right out there, but besides that, Mad Cave and that Sumerian, all those are cool different comics that are coming out right now. So good time for, I say.
Boom. And that actually reminds me, fun little tidbit. The stuff for our comic book, the art is done, and so the lettering is beginning, which is me. And I just did my first page, and it was so fun. So I'm really excited. Randy liked how it turned out, and so I will be doing the other 17 pages, and then we are going to do revisions, and then off to the printer it goes. So,
You want to know
yeah.
You want to know like a conversation me and Randy had, Johnny?
Yeah.
So basically, I was like, do you think Johnny's going to secretly realize that he's just become a letterer? Like that's just he's become one now. Like he's not just doing it to learn; he's just like become a letterer in the industry.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I did a little something fun on it on page 1. I'll show you it after the show. But Randy liked it. He was like, "That's cool." So I'm like, "Yeah." So it's a good time, and I've been reading a ton of just websites about lettering. There's actually a lot of resources out there for it, and there's even a book that I'm considering getting. But ultimately, it's just been fun to watch tutorials and learn new things about programs I've had for over a decade that I'm like, why the heck did I know this sooner? I'm such a fool. But definitely fun. So I am very excited to get this done. But yeah, shout out to Bamboo Panel Studios. And we do have an announcement coming soon regarding a release party for the book. So more to come.
Things are getting exciting, everyone.
They're getting exciting. Also, shout out to Sam. Sam is up next to get his story illustrated with
I'm so excited.
So
that's so excited.
Yeah. Sam, you had an amazing main discussion item that you wanted to talk about, and I have the visual aids on my side here ready to rock and roll.
Yes.
What do you got?
So I guess I was thinking about this new age that's coming in for X-Men. Like everybody's really hyped about the show, and they're like, I think the comics are kind of doing a hard reboot on things again, where they're going like, all right, the Krakoa age lasted about 5 years there, everyone. We all loved it. It was probably the most like important X-Men have been in a long time, but all good things must come to an end. We got to start over again. We're gonna make the slate clean for people to be able to read X-Men again and make it easy. And so they made this event called From the Ashes. And From the Ashes literally makes it like, I mean, it is a bit of a determiner to how Krakoa is going to end for everybody. It's going to be on fire, I guess.
It's going to be in the ashes.
Yep, and they're starting off a bunch of new books again, like X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Exceptional X-Men.
Yeah.
And like there's a Phoenix book, there's a Storm book, they're putting it all in there. Yeah, and see, here are some of the teams right there, and as from how you can see it, it's actually quite interesting to see which ones are on which teams here. Because if you've noticed, Wolverine and Beast are not on the same team. And there's probably a very good reason why that is, if you've been reading Wolverine.
Yeah.
And what I kind of noticed.
I haven't been reading. Would they hate each other now?
Beast kind of became like a what's the word? Totalitarianism? Like,
oh really?
Yeah, he became like a crazy, like a like a militaristic like leader of the X-Men, where he like committed like genocide, and like he's not a good guy anymore.
Who's he looks like he's with there?
He's got he's on
Juggernaut,
Cyclops' team.
Cyclops,
Magic.
yeah, Magneto.
Juggernaut's there.
I think the ice gal with the fire on top left is Oya, who premiered in the Generation Hope book limited run.
Cool.
And then Quentin Quire is the pink-haired telepath on the right.
That's in the bottom right, or is that
top
up by
right.
Magneto?
Up by Magneto.
Gotcha.
And then,
who's the girl in the bottom right?
So that is not Psylocke, but Betsy or Elizabeth.
That's Betsy Braddock.
Yep.
And then we got Ileana or whatever her name is here with the sword or
Magic. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Juggernaut with the big X.
Yeah.
And if you guys have noticed, everybody looks, well, not everybody, but there a good chunk of everybody in there is in their 90s unis.
Yeah.
Like Jubilee's in her 90s get up, Rogue's in her 90s get up pretty much.
Yeah, so is Gambit.
Yeah, like they're all like, so I think they're doing some synergistic marketing here with the X-Men 97 show.
Well, on the left, I would say the Uncanny X-Men definitely are wearing their original costumes, right? I think it's all of them are. Not original. Nightcrawler's a little bit different, but he's the 90s Nightcrawler. But the ones in the middle here, just our regular untitled X-Men or whatever, those guys, they're not, those are a little bit later.
Like different versions.
Yeah, those are different versions. And then we got, Emma's team over here with Emma.
Some of those people I've been told are brand new characters in Emma's team.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm not really recognizing too many of them except for Kitty Pryde in front.
And that's Kitty Pryde. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll say too is that I was gonna just point out the detail on Oya's outfit, because she's always been half fire, half ice, and so like even her knee pads are color coordinated. But the thing that is kind of fun about these, but also drives me crazy, is these outfits are super exciting. They last like an issue and a half, and then it switches to something else or whatever, or they die, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, that does happen.
it happens quite a lot, and it's like, oh, okay, but yeah. So Sam, what's your perspective on this? You've kind of been at Rainbow during the good portion of this Krakoa hoo-ha,
and
the 20 million books, and Marvel is now giving us 20 million books.
So I was not a reader of Krakoa. I didn't read it. I didn't read the Krakoa Age because I think I got in a little late, and then there was like 13 books, and I wasn't trying to like add 13 books to my already big stack of books. So I said, well, I'm just going to let other people go have fun and enjoy this little bit of X-Men. And vicariously, I think I did. I mean, because there's a lot of interesting stories there. The Wolverine book was very interesting. Marauders was good. And there was a lot of like, and then people really really liked this idea that the X-Men finally had like a form of peace within like having their own country, basically, and like going to the moon, going to Mars and colonizing Mars. Because that happened too. And it was insane to just kind of see as this was going on and hear from people what they thought on all of it. And my thought process was, now that it's over and they're starting over, how many people are they going to want to start over with it again? Because to me, if I've been reading this Krakoa Age stuff where the X-Men finally had like, they had their own island and they had their own like governing system, and they had pretty much everything that they kind of wanted, well, other than, equality in the rest of the world. They had pretty much, they had a place where they could live at peace. They could they could have kids there. They couldn't die for a minute there. That was something. And how are you going to put the genie back in the bottle? You know what I mean? That's what I always thought when like Beast became like a crazy fascist character. How are you going to put it back in the bottle after that? You know what I mean? How are you going to make him go be the happy funny beast from the 90s again. I mean, they found a way, obviously, it looks like, but to me as a reader, I'd probably just take a break off X-Men then if you're just going to start it over.
Yeah.
That would be me, but I didn't read the Krakoa Age, so I don't really know what I would do in that situation, because now I do have a perfect jumping on point if I do want to read X-Men. And so I was kind of curious to see what you guys' thoughts are on that, where it's like, do you guys like that they're completely starting over, or do you think that they should have kept this going, or do you like that they did change this, or maybe that you didn't like how they changed it, or some of the writers on the books and stuff like that? So I don't know, what do you guys think on that? On all those 10,000 questions I just gave you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. This is the Marvel way. You're just setting me up, Sam, because it's just now, as me and John have done this for so goddamn long, we're like, this is our fourth cycle probably of complete reboots
for X-Men
and for X-Men and seeing Wolverine be an absolute psycho murdering, psychopath berserker, and then teaching kids in class in two different books that are coming out at the same time. And I think that you can do that. I think with Marvel, it's all cyclical. So everything can change. You can have Punisher die. You can have him come back as a Frankenstein, and then you can just have him come back, and they won't ever mention that he was ever Frankenstein. And so, or Frankencastle, or whatever they call it.
That was a weird book.
And so there's just, all I'm saying is that it's all cyclical. Everybody can come back from anything. And it doesn't surprise me at all. X-Men needs to do it. If you said it's, Krakoa's been going on for 5 years, it's like, damn, dude, I can't believe Krakoa's been going on for 5 years, but you're definitely right. And they do need to put it to Ash, and they do need to do that. I mean, first of all, House of M, that came out when we were, however long, 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, it was 2014.
Yeah, or so even, 10 years ago. So now you're like, look, in House of M, we just straight up fucking killed half the people in all of mutantdoms, and so everything was gone. Mutant powers were gone. Look, everything can come back. There were absolute terrible people during that time, and now the those characters could be good, and vice versa. And then you have Emma Frost has a whole new team of bringing up what John's saying of like sometimes these characters just die. Well, I'd read that book, because if you got a team of new characters, guess what? Some of those people are definitely going to die, because that's why you enter new characters, so you don't have to kill some old character. So yeah, I think it's okay. And I think it's, for a long time, I hated it, right? Yeah, I can't believe they're shutting this down. That's so dumb. I'm an X-Men reader. I want to continue the stories. I just wish Chris Claremont was still writing them, if like it was up to me or whatever. And so that can't happen. And you need people to come in, and you need Jonathan Hickmans to come in and say, you know what, we're going to put this on its head, and we're going to give it a clear direction for a little bit of time. And then we're going to pass the torch and until someone else can pick it up and do something big with them. So honestly, just like we have seen X-Men change from Blue and Gold to Untitled to Uncanny to rebooting the original, and having everybody have a individual series in between. How many different versions of X-Force have we seen? How many different versions of every other X team? It doesn't matter, because that's what Marvel does. There are new readers. There are some 16-year-old kid who's like, I am into Marvel and I want to check out X-Men. And they're going to walk into their shop and be like, actually, there's 3 new X titles starting right now. And that kid's going to be like, oh, hell yeah. And he's going to jump on board here. This is going to be his origin story. He's going to love it and, turn into a person that would be similar to us. And so I think it's okay. And I think it's okay for everybody who was on Krakoa to be okay jumping off, because that's the evolution of reading comics. You do get off of titles. You do see what else is out there. Maybe you loved one of the artists that you actually, maybe there was an artist in the Krakoa series that you absolutely loved, and that was what really drew you in. But now they're doing another book. Well, hey, guess what? Now you got another thing to add to your reading pile and another way to draw out, because you're going to explore another aspect of something you already like. So I think it's okay. It's natural. I am not a bitter man like I used to be, where it's like, do never do reboots. Now I say, you know what, Marvel, it's all a part of the business plan. You need to reboot it every once in a while. And if you gave Krakoa 5 years, I say it's high time.
Boom. I have thoughts on this really quick. I just want to catch up on the comments because we got some participation. Blair is checking in with the hand waves, and right back at you, Blair. Thanks for tuning in. Trippity Trav from Team Supercon is in the building. Love you, bros. Woo! These are also Trav coming through the comic book club group, so he gets the fancy Facebook username. But love you guys, squad. And then love that aspect, Tom, just for your views that you were just sharing. So nicely done. And then, of course, shout out to Sunny D again, YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, my dude. All right, so I have been reading the Krakoa stuff, and I actually am current. I have 3/4 of a short box bagged and taped. So that's a lot of titles and a lot of reading. And when I looked at the stack initially, I was like, I cannot believe I'm doing this to myself. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done, right? Which is also not true. I've done dumber things. But you can find them in earlier episodes of the show, usually like 8 years ago, maybe. But I gotta say that a lot of it was quite enjoyable. I think that, to Sam's point, the Krakoa era had these lofty goals at the beginning, right? Where they were talking about, yeah, we're going to have our own island. We're going to have our own religion. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about blah, 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 blah. The books did that. And when you look at it holistically, it's actually pretty impressive that they pulled it off, because events sometimes just happen and then disappear. So I'm going to be looking at this chunk of time, these 2.5 short boxes of comics, and see how quickly we are to forget that this happened in these books. Will I try out some of the number ones for these X-Men titles? Maybe. This also is a great time for me to hop off and focus my collecting on different things too. With reboots, and especially with X-Men, the reason why I was giggling over here was because a comic book look started towards the end of volume 1 of Uncanny X-Men.
Wow.
We just surpassed volume 5. That's not including the Krakoa stuff. That was before Krakoa stuff. So X-Men has been rebooted way more times than I care to count, because that's just one title that I was looking at just for perspective. And that's not including normal X-Men and, Tom's X-Men and John's X-Men and blah, 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 blah. There's so many limited runs that constitute a volume of something. And yeah, they have been rebooted. The thing that I don't mind is when it's maybe 25 to 50 issues, that to me is an acceptable volume. But when it's something where we're going to restart Uncanny X-Men and then 10 issues later, okay, we're going to throw the towel in and redo it again. How many number ones does a guy need for Uncanny X-Men,
And I think that's perfect. Like, hey, if you're going to do the unbranded X-Men, or you're going to do Wonderful X-Men, or you're going to do Excalibur or X-Force, hey, okay, right? Yeah. But if you're going to do Uncanny X-Men, the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, story that then Chris Claremont really blew up, well, then it needs to be a big deal, right? And if you are going to redo Uncanny, every time you reboot Uncanny, it does lose the luster just slightly a little bit. So I agree. You should reboot all those other ones, even reboot stories and change things up. But I think it's okay, and we will go back. This is also cyclical, right? Batman did, even though Batman and Superman comics say 1,000 whatever else, or Action and Detective say 1,000 something else, they went through 25 years of saying other numbers, and then people added them all up to get to issue 1,000, and then they've been going since 1,000. But that will be the same thing with X-Men Uncanny, and all these different reboots will eventually come out, and then we'll be on issue whatever 582 or whatever of Uncanny, and somebody will go back to that. And I think they should continue that numbering on the flagship titles. Even if you're rebooting the stories, even if you're doing everything else, those flagship titles, I would love to see that numbering continue to grow. I just think it helps build the legacy. It's not like One Piece comes out and they're going to put like, yeah, this is One Piece Volume 4, Episode 1. It's like, no, that's not how it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oddly enough, I think, what was I going to say? There is a lot of like stories that do that though, where they're just like, the Nightwing is going to celebrate like 300 issues, I think.
Mhm.
And it's also issue 113. It's a weird like number. It's like, yeah, celebrating 113, but it's also 300. But it's 113, but it's also 300.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like,
Yeah.
rebooting is always going to be an odd thing.
Yeah.
But I guess why I wanted to bring it up is because, am I wrong to think that this Krakoa era is probably the most significant X-Men event that we've had in like 10, 15, 20 years? Because I like, you guys are much more like veteran readers than I am.
Right.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, I read the stuff before Krakoa hit, and that stuff was weird. It was X-Men Blue and Gold again, but it was like there was like Old Man Logan's on the team, and like Bloodstorm the Vampire Wolverine's on there. Like, there's Cyclops, who's younger than his like future daughter, is on that team. It was odd. And before that, a lot of times the X-Men were just, and before that even, X-Men were downplayed heavily because that was the Inhumans era. If you remember that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. So, and like, and I don't really remember everything that was going on in the 2000s, but I know it was kind of popular still.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel, and I could be wrong, that Krakoa is the biggest X-Men have been in 20 years. So I'm interested to seeing what people think about like them just starting fresh again, because I probably would have wanted to see more stories within where Krakoa has, its own country and like it governs themselves. That's what was very interesting to me about it.
Mm.
Was it was like, what if the mutants were left alone mostly, and how they were to go about that, and like the culture of how mutants like went out? Because I remember like Exodus, would tell tall tales about like how the X-Men used to be, and how like Apocalypse becomes an ally, and not just an ally, like as an astounding member of like the X-Men.
Yeah, Age of Apocalypse. That is like further than 20 years ago, though. So, like,
no,
I think
like in the like 10 of Swords.
Oh, okay.
If you remember that,
that was a piece too.
like he was like a big X-Men like ally right there. Like he got all the people from Araco, I believe it is, to like join up. And that was like Apocalypse and all the villains were good guys on top of being bad guys, which was very interesting to see. Like, if like this whole what do the mutants do when they don't have to pretend to be humans?
Mm-hmm.
And that was very interesting to me. And so I feel a little like a bit of chagrin that they're ending it. But like, you are right though. 5 years is a long time in comic bookdom.
Totally.
It just so I see where if the people want to jump in, and well, maybe I'll jump in even. But like, I am a little sad that to see the end of Krakoa.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. I mean, look, I didn't read Krakoa, so to me it isn't as impactful. I mean, not even close, I would say, to what House of M did, or even during Dark Reign, how impactful the X titles were to everything that was going on. But it's also because I didn't read Krakoa, so I don't have that same comparison, and kind of all of the different things that I was like when I was obsessed with X-Men and never missed an X-Men book for a very long time, over half of our show, half the years that we've been doing the show, the first half. I read them all. I've read every single X-Men up until 5 or 6 years ago, every single book. And I mean, there's over the last 20 years, you might write, I would still say House of M was a little more impactful, but nothing in the history of it compares to the Dark Phoenix saga. And that's the real, that is the best X-Men has ever been. And I don't think it has still gotten to elevated. I think they're still chasing the Dark Phoenix saga greatness in storytelling. But yeah, then I would say since then that, the event that I think in X-Men played the biggest impact is House of M.
You're not wrong with that too, because it literally like gutted the entire X-Men, like every mutant other than like 200 of them.
Yeah.
And that you're probably right on that.
It gets brought up all the time in the books.
It was just the big reset, right? I mean, we were just so many characters, such a huge array, and it just forced all of these writers to do a whole bunch of new things, and it shook up and changed how it was. So to me, that felt like the biggest, at least in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But if we can go a little bit beyond 20 years, so we do go to the 90s, look, Age of Apocalypse, that is a truly amazing event, and it's so good, and it's just, it's amazing. Onslaught, those are all 90s kind of, but that is more than 20 years ago, and I think that's when it was really firing. So you had like, Dark Phoenix saga in the 80s, and then kind of going into the 90s of it getting more badass, and you get Age of Apocalypse and Onslaught. Then that's really good stuff. And I think the worst X-Men ever is when it focuses on he's a character now or whatever, but it's all around X-Man or around Charles Xavier
Ray, I think his name was.
Yeah. Or Mariah, all of that stuff. It's like once all of the events because that was a big part of X-Men for a long time, and I feel like that it was never as enjoyable when it was kind of revolving around those plot points compared to others. But man.
On that note though, I do just want to give a shout out. Onslaught was one I wanted to lift up, but the other one that really captivated me, because this was around when I first started collecting comics in general, was Operation Zero Tolerance with Bastion and the humans that would just randomly turn into Sentinels. And that's where you meet characters like Marrow from the Morlocks, who rips bones out of her body, and she fights like Wolverine.
Yeah, and Maggot.
Maggot with his 2 metal slugs. And then Dr. Cecilia Reeves. Like that was really cool. And Iceman played a huge role on that. But just the impact that had across the X titles and some other books too. Operation Zero Tolerance is pretty sick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Days of Future Past, we didn't bring that up, but that's even further before Dark Saga. It's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just kind of intrigued to see what you guys thought, because like I have been like seeing Krakoa, and I thought it truly was like this, like a really big thing for the X-Men, and I was like, "Oh, you're moving on already. That's pretty big. I thought you might want to keep that going, because there's people. I've seen a couple of different people. There's DC people, there's Marvel people, and then there's X-Men people.
Totally.
And there's people who only read X-Men.
Just like there's Batman people and there's X-Men people.
Yes, that is another. There's purely just Batman people. They'll buy. Oh, Batman's in the book. Yeah, I'll get it.
Yep.
Like
people are the same thing.
Yeah, so I've just kind of noticed that. So I was just going how do the X-Men fans feel about this? Like, because like I've read X-Men, but I haven't read a lot of X-Men.
We're used to it.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of the titles that me and John have kind of always both loved since the beginning of our show.
Yeah.
And when I was first getting comics and he was like, "Oh, you're getting comics," it was always like the X titles that John was like, "Oh, let me check this one." And so yeah, well, I love X-Men. I think obviously they invite us to the gala, and we're close personal friends with a lot of the different mutants.
Yeah, shout out to Emma Frost.
Yeah,
I mean, you better, if you are going to the gala, you better have the best fits then.
Oh yeah, we only look real good at the gala nights.
There you go.
But I would just say that honestly, it's been a big part of my comic book fandom, and it was the first one. I've talked about this before, but I wanted to read every single X-Men, started to buy them, realized, well, I don't have the budget to read every single X-Men. Bought this CD that I thought was an official CD, got it in the mail, and it had the scan of the first 200 issues of X-Men on some sort of bootleg CD that I was like, now looking back, it's like that definitely is just some guy off eBay who, stole this information. But thank you, man, on eBay back in, 2003, because I really appreciate you. And so then I read them all, and then since then, have just continued to read it. It's the best. And just, I think I had so many of those different reboots that eventually I just said, look, Tom, do you need to buy Detective Comics every single time it's out, even if you're not enjoying it, because you've collected it for 6 years? So now you think you're pot committed. And I did that same thing with X-Men. I was doing that same thing with Batman. I was doing the same thing. I just had like these rules, like, oh, Zatanna's in a book. I get it. Cypher's in a X-Men book. I'm definitely getting. Maybe I'll get 2 copies. I just moved completely away from that and been like, no, now I just buy what I want to buy. I don't need a complete series. I can pick and choose and hunt and peck, and I'm going to live and be okay. And so since then, I really there hasn't been really even any one series that I've stuck with for a really long time, except for maybe, I guess, Saga. Yeah. But I'm about to jump on that too, because it sucked the last fucking 10 issues.
Oh,
well, it hasn't sucked, but it only comes out once every 2 years, and it's
you get 2 issues a year.
Yeah, and it's not that good. So it's like, remember when you were really, really good? They should go back to doing that.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely did that with Spider-Man. I was like, I read Spider-Man from 2017 to 2023, and I was like, I was reading the newest run. And I'm just like, I'm not really having as much fun.
Yeah,
I feel like I felt like I needed to keep reading this book, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah,
I don't need to read this right now. And I finally did that myself. And now I'm like, I'll probably wait to see them when the next writer hops on, see what after that. But one of the things I will miss about the Krakoa era most of all is that they gave a reason to why all the X-Men are immortal, basically.
Like, what was that?
Well, like metatextually, like, no one dies in comics, right? And so they gave it like a canonical reason why the X-Men just don't die, because they they had the like Sacred Five that could always resurrect you with like a previous backup of yourself. And it was kind of interesting. It was just, they were like, we know these characters aren't gonna, like, even though they do die, they're all gonna come back. So it was interesting to finally have them go like, just say, you know what, they're immortal now. Whatever, deal with it. That's just the X-Men. They're weird enough, that'll work. And you know what? I kind of liked that for them. It would probably make problems later when everybody's 28 still, but I always thought that was kind of a cool part of Krakoa. It's bummer to see it gone, but it also will re-add stakes back into the book again.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite part of the whole Krakoa thing was actually the bar on the island where Blob was the bartender. And there were, every single book, I swear, they just had a random character drinking in the bar. And it's fun to see who's hanging out with who in the background. So that was always kind of entertaining for me too, as the social aspect of it, because it really did have like kind of a fun party vibe to it. So, and much respect to that being across several titles, including some of those limited runs. But it just always made a cameo. It's like an episode of Friends or something, but kind of funny.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
No.
All right, Tom, you did not read Krakoa, right? You
exactly. I didn't. I probably picked up 4 issues. Like, I think there was one where they had a throwback 90s cover with Polaris on it, even though she wasn't in the comic. I picked that one up and I read that one. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I'll tell you what. Would you consider picking up the new reboot then?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, even because, you brought this up in the text thread, a little inside baseball for everyone else, but you brought that up in the text thread. So I asked right away, I was like, what book do I need to pick up to see the new outfits? And of course, nobody answered me.
Yeah, I did not answer.
Wait,
I was like, well, I don't know.
Where was that?
But that's okay, because I found out that I went to the X titles today. There weren't new characters and new books yet, so it's like we're still ahead of it. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking of it. And then, looking at those series and those creators, it's like, yeah, I probably will pick up that Uncanny run. So we'll check it out.
I'm intrigued by the Jed McKay one.
Yeah.
Mostly, that because Jed McKay did a great Moon Knight run. They're going to do that Blood Hunt storyline they're doing recently. He might be my new favorite writer right now.
That's cool.
So I'll probably pick up. I might consider picking it up, that one.
I was reading the comic shop news today, and they were talking about the Blood Hunt
I'm so
little
excited.
bit in here, and I thought it was kind of interesting how they had conveyed it, though. Oh yeah, the bloodiest event in Marvel history was the headline that I went with, and so I thought it was kind of interesting to talk about. And of course, I'm a Blade fan. One of those other characters that I always just bought Blade no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, to see that vampires are happening, and then John's Comics by Night stream is kind of revolved around this horror side of Marvel, and then to know that we're about to go into the bloodiest event in Marvel history, it's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
Not like
you,
I'm
Johnny?
timing that to jump back on to Comics by Night, but I am really excited about that event. Really quick, Mark is tuning in saying Comic Book Live. Mark, we miss you. We love you. So for me, am I gonna check out the reboots?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I imagine that I will, just because I am curious. I don't know if I will be sticking with all of them though, just because this Krakoa thing has been quite the process to get through. And I would
It's a lot of books.
I know, and I have so much other volume. Plus, I do want to start getting through some of my volume for Comics by Night too. So I'll say maybe, and stay tuned.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much wraps that up for wraps up that topic at least. I just kind of wanted to see what y'all thought about that. See what what are y'all thinking about the idea of it, and who's running it? Gail Samoan's at their head of it this time, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
She was always a killer writer.
Yeah.
Just kind of wanted to put the feelers out, see what people thought about this whole thing, because coming from a guy who doesn't read a lot of X-Men or isn't as tapped into X-Men 97 as I think everybody's hoping I would be. This just it looks like we're trying to go back to a very memorable time with X-Men. And we did something new and fresh, but we're trying to get back to some of those old fans back. That's how I kind of perceive it a little bit.
Yeah.
So get some of those guys who have been reading a minute, get them to get by in a comic again.
Trying to get me back. That's what they're doing, man. I'm that demo.
We'll see.
I'll tell you what, yellow suits don't just make me buy comics, because if that was the fucking case, I could have picked up other shitty X-Men comics in the last 6 years as well, because they try to do this kind of stuff every once in a while. But because of the whole new reset, and we're starting, and we're going to come out of the ashes and see some new direction, maybe it's the time to jump on.
Yeah, absolutely.
TBD.
So what do you guys think? Do you want to do one round of books you want to shout out, and then call it, or are we
I have
as is?
Nothing really to lift up.
Honestly, I don't want. I mean, I've already been going for an hour, so I don't want to either. But I would love it, Sam, if you have a book that you want to talk about. Me and John can definitely listen to you, man.
All right. Well, we'll keep it chill. You know what? We'll do this one just because it's funny. Came across this book. It's an older one, but I kind of fell in love with it because this is something I watched as a kid. Hang on. There it is.
Digimon.
Digimon.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm also in the frame.
Wow.
Yeah, this was kind of a pricier book, actually. It was about $15 for it. Apparently that was a small run from Dark Horse. And Digimon had one of the best theme songs ever. And at the time, I thought those characters were so cool. Now I realize they're just people, these little stick figures that have giant heads and giant hands. And then the Digimon are really cool, but sometimes incredibly over-designed. But I loved it as a kid, and I just had to see. I had to see if I could get this book out there for and so I'm definitely going to give that a read tonight, and I'm probably going to really enjoy it.
Dude, heck yeah.
Dude.
So where's
I
where's
love
my where's my Digimon reboot? Why y'all getting your all your X-Men? Okay.
John, were you a Digimon guy? I know you're a Pokemon guy.
Right. I actually did watch that growing up. It was pretty cool. I was kind of like, yeah, like I really want to dig this maybe a little bit more, and it was enjoyable. But I was definitely more so like Team Spider-Man, Team X-Men, Pokemon. The series was kind of fun too. But it was all right. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I always thought it was a Pokemon ripoff.
Yeah.
But then
See-
somebody told me like Digimon came before Pokemon.
Well,
and
the
I was like,
the Digimon show was started as a show, and Pokemon started as a game.
Fair.
And which one came first? Pokemon.
I believe Pokemon came first.
Yeah.
That's why his Pokemon had the staying power.
Yeah.
Come on.
And like, Digimon's like, but had way cool evolutions. Like it's like, I got like, what if I just put a bunch of metal on him and he's Metal Greymon now? I'm like, that sounds awesome. Totally do that. And
Dude,
it's
they
just
should
like
put all the Digimon characters into Pal World.
that would
That game, I swear. It's so
that
fun.
game, that's a great idea, and that game needs to exist because otherwise, all the new Pokemon games have been mediocre to trash. So they need to they need some competition again. I think.
Oh, Sam, you're talking my language, man. That the last halfway decent Pokemon was that Arceus, and it was like the throwback version.
Yeah.
And besides that, man, there has been nothing on the Switch that is good for Pokemon. It's
Well,
crazy.
Like they even remade Gen 4 and nobody cared.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
Gen 4 was one of the best generations, and they made it like this. I don't know. It feels like they just like made like a little toy box version of it and put it
That's
on the
what I mean.
Switch. That'll be $60, please.
Go pick up your DS. It's better that way anyway. And
Tell you what, my favorite is still to this day is Omega Ruby.
Hey, cool, man.
My
Awesome.
favorite one. But yeah, I just think it needs some competition. But also, I'm also going to read the hell out of this Digimon comic.
Dude, heck yeah.
Well worth the price you spent.
Yeah. It's not a common
Here's my
one.
favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the remake makes that game way more. Just, I love the remake more on that one.
I never played the remake.
Oh my god, you'll love that. It basically takes everything you love about that game and makes it and like adds 10 more onto it.
Hell yeah. I mean, I still probably like red, red, blue, yellow, even just as much as any of them. But yeah, that next one is, silver, gold. I love those ones. Emerald's good too, though, obviously, and Omega Ruby's good. Love it. Love Pokemon. Love those old Pokemon games. Bring those kind of fun. Hey, I don't mind grinding for a little bit if that's what I have to do to continue going. But if it's so easy that I don't have to grind at all, and then I can get to the Elite Four and just fucking wipe them out, then I don't enjoy the game. I feel no pleasure in accomplishment. So Pokemon, step your shit up.
I always thought Digimon had a cooler story too.
What did?
I always thought Digimon had a cooler story too. It's like you have to go to this digital world where it's like all these creatures exist and they form a familiar with you, and like depending on how it's like strong your bond with this creature is, it could like keep evolving into whatever the hell you wanted it to be. Things could fuse. It was like there was like no rules, and that's what made it amazing. You want like a weird little bunny creature that also has like machine guns for hands? We can make that. Let's do it. And that's Digimon let itself be a little goofier, and I think that's fun.
Heck yeah. This is Trav agreeing with you. But no, it's awesome. And then Mark is in the comments here. He just wait. Oh wait, that's agreed. Then Preach Tom, also from Trav. But Mark actually weighed in just saying, I am planning on getting back into X books.
Nice, Mark.
Nice.
So definitely, Mark is gonna say X gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, Sam, excellent topic tonight. Mark was not able to join us for the whole show, so that is the only reason why we can't talk about Prominent Show on Disney Plus right now. But we will be doing that maybe next week. We'll see. But I feel like, Tom, you need to be there too for that. So yeah, we'll make sure that at least the three of us are there. Sam, you gotta get that watch, man.
Sam, you don't have to watch the intro And that's all you really need. Just watch the
Got it.
intro, and then you're
It's so
you're
good.
caught up
It's
for us.
so good. Shout out to X-Men 97. Wow, and way to spoil my own review. That's fine.
And
But
Morph just looking a little weird. Okay, don't want to get too into it, but yeah, okay.
Didn't Morph die in the first episode?
Not in the first episode, but it is this tragic tale of Morph 97 X-Men.
Okay.
like he's talking about the original show, Tom.
Oh yeah.
The Sentinels and stuff. Yeah. No. That's all I had for tonight, boys. Did you guys have anything else? No.
All clean here.
All clean. All right. Well, Krakoa is definitely a huge conversation. So if you guys have any thoughts on the series or had a chance to check out some of the books, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. We will be back with you next week. And hopefully we'll have a Tom and a Mark and we can talk about X-Men 97. But more to come on that. I am so excited to chop it up. Each time we wait, we get to watch more episodes and we'll have more to discuss. So
Here we go.
there we be. Awesome. Well, with that, I suppose I should shut it down and then we'll probably roll that intro/outro and we're going to call it a night here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we are a comic book look, proudly sponsored by Rainbow Comics. Again, if you are in the Sioux Falls area, stop by Wednesday through Saturday and say howdy to Sam and that beautiful haircut of his. He will be there ready to rock and roll, answer those sports cards questions and the comic book questions. He's a weird hybrid like that. And then for Tom and I, you'll see us on the internet, of course. Social media, you can find us at @John on Demand, @Tom Stu Divine. Collectively, we are a comic book look on the socials as well. If you are not joining us through Facebook, consider joining our Facebook group, A Comic Book Look. We'd love to continue the conversation with you there. And yeah, we'll be back with you soon. So I guess I hit him with the best Keep It Comics that I can. And then I guess, Mark, since you're here, I'm going to do, since I have the hat and glasses look tonight, begging and boarding's never boring. Boom. Did I do it good? Mark, how did
You rocked it, man.
Did I do it good? All right. Well, we'll
You
see if
did
the
really
comments
good.
roll it. Anyways, thank you guys again. We'll see you guys next week. We're going to roll the outro, and then we're going to get some sleep because we're awesome. All right, here we go.
A Comic Book Look, your weekly TV show on comic book culture.